Hello and welcome to Best Golf Accessories YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about what is bounce and what does it do? We're going to cover the following questions. What does bounce do on a golf club? What is the bounce of a golf club? What does bounce on a golf club mean? How does bounce on a golf club work? How to use the bounce on a golf club? And what bounce should you get on your wedges? Okay, so what is the bounce on a golf club? Bob Vokey defines the bounce of a golf club as the forgiveness of a wedge. The better the bounce that matches your swing, the better your wedge game will be. If you've ever looked at like the bottom of a golf club, the sole of a golf club, I should say, you'll probably notice that there are a couple of numbers. One is going to be the loft. The second number is the degree of bounce that your wedge has. Bounce is a bounce angle, and the bounce angle is the angle between the ground and the sole of the golf club. So you might be asking yourself, all right, well, what does that mean, and how does that affect me, or why does that matter to me? The bounce on the golf club just affects how the club interacts with the ground. Wedges that have like low bounce between 4 and 6 degrees will dig into the ground more than wedges that have high bounce between 10 and 14 degrees. Low bounce wedges, as I said earlier, are between 4 and 6 degrees of bounce, and these types of wedges are good for like firm and fast conditions and bunkers that have wet or compacted sand. Wedges with low bounce are engineered to give you very clean contact with the ball, allowing each shot to be very precise at the sacrifice of forgiveness. Low bounce wedges are usually lob wedges, and they can produce extremely high flop shots on very tight lies, very close to the green. Players with a shallower attack angle or more of a sweeping motion tend to like these types of wedges. Medium bounce wedges are usually between 7 and 10 degrees of bounce. These wedges are good in pretty much all conditions, firm and soft. The wedges with medium bounce are extremely versatile. Players can use the wedges around the greens to create a number of shots. Players with a more natural swing will like these types of wedges, and by natural swing I mean not too steep and not too shallow. Typically, players with very steep and shallow swings tend to struggle with these types of wedges because it just doesn't fit them correctly. High bounce wedges are wedges that typically have between 10 and 14 degrees of bounce angle. These types of wedges are suited for players with a very steep swing. Because of how much bounce is on the club, it doesn't dig into the turf and kind of bounces the club out to counter the steep swing. High bounce wedges will often produce a lot of spin and can give players more control around the greens. Players that have a really shallow swing struggle to hit these wedges because typically they are not able to get under the ball very well, and they tend to hit thin or skull shots, as some people call them. Now that we know a little bit more about bounce angles and wedges and how they work, let's talk about how it affects your swing. Wedges with higher bounces tend not to dig into the ground as much. They help people with steeper swings. Wedges with low bounce angles tend to help people with more shallow swings. So you might be asking yourself, how do I use the bounce on my wedge effectively? And this is all going to be situation dependent. Wedges with high bounce angles are really good in the sand whenever you don't want to dig under the ball too much. However, wedges with low bounce angles are really good for tight lies and making sure that you get to the ball very precisely. You will want to use different bounces and different wedges in different situations. Alright, now let's talk about what bounce angles you should get on your wedges. As always, you should go to a professional fitter and make sure that they fit you in the correct sole, loft, and bounce angles. But our recommendation is to get a variety if you have a more neutral swing. Using different bounce angles with different wedges in different situations and learning how to best use them, as vague as that may be, is going to be your best way to improve. We can't stress this enough. See a fitter, get fit for your wedges. It will help.